Hello everyone, welcome back to cgtutsplus.com. Once again, this is Gottfried Karl Heinrich Hofmann from Robco Picture speaking. And this time we're not gonna burn anything or not blowing out any smoke, but still things need to be destroyed. And what we're gonna dissolve or disintegrate or pulverize or call it whatever you want is this neat CG Tutsplus logo here. We're gonna use the version Blender 2.5 Beta 5, and in this version the usual way of dissolving stuff in Blender does not work, because up until version 2.49 people were using the mapping of particles to a texture or a blend in order to dissolve things, and that's not yet re-implemented in the current version of Blender. But we still have the ability to dissolve things, and it's pretty cool, so watch this. On the left, we got the force field, and it's going through the model and thus dissolving it. And the way to set up this really neat animation, let me just show you right here, because it's always better to have a basic overview of everything. Well, we got here the CG Tuts Plus logo as a font, and if you zoom in, you see that there's a lot of geometry happening in the font, and it's not looking like the usual geometry you get when you convert a font in Blender to a mesh. So there must have been some retopology, and yeah, I'm gonna show you how I did this, and I guess you can do it a lot better, because this actually it sucks, but it's okay for our dissolve effect. And the other thing is the materials of this logo here. I added an HDR, which is used to get a pretty cool effect of the logo dissolving and starting to show details that's like golden metal, and all this glittering and stuff is happening by using this HDR. Some compositing here, pretty simple setup, and a lamp we got down here. You see it here? And practically that's how I created it. Oh, and don't forget, there's also happening quite a bit of animation. Like here in the compositing nodes, the field of course is animated because it's changing the location. And yeah, the text, the material of the text is heavily animated. And by adding all of this, we get this really neat effect, and we can work around a few problems I encountered when I first did this for some cinema, and I found a pretty neat way to fade the fonts in with a pretty cool effect, and not needing to um, move them, because there are a few problems when you move them with this setup. But yeah, I'm gonna show you everything about it. And well, something you might also be interested in is how did I actually dissolve the text and split it into pieces of real geometry instead of the normal particle thing. And I did this by stacking a few modifiers. At first, of course, a subsurf modifier to get all the geometry and make things nice, clean and rounded. Then I added a particle system with a few special settings I'm gonna tell you everything about once we're getting there. An explode modifier, and at the end a solidify modifier. And yeah, this is a hell lot of geometry you can see up here, and by adding this, wow, pretty hefty, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. And of course, through animating a few things and setting the materials in a special way, we get this schmaltzy, cheesy glittering at the end, which you might or might not see on this frame here. Because yeah, there might be some glitter here and it's all schmaltzy, all cheesy, fireworks or magic, whatever, but it served the purpose and it's, yeah, actually pretty cool, I think. And wow, why don't we start right away? So, here we are in a fresh and clean blend. And yeah, let's first get rid of the default cube by hitting X, and now I'm going to top view by hitting numpad and 7. And now I'm gonna hit Shift A and add some text. Tap into edit mode and type in CG Tuts Plus. I guess you've got better ideas for your logos to write. And yeah, here in the object data of the text, we got all the text tools. Like for example, we can change the font. You can only do this by grabbing a TrueType font or any other Blender compatible font file, and then it will be here in the list. Yeah, I guess I've added it quite often. Well, this is the official CG Tuts Plus font. Let's increase the size a little and work on all those cool features we got here for the text. Like for example, we can extrude it a little. Yeah. This is here to see the edge here that comes up. Maybe a little more. Then let's add a little small bevel to it and increase the resolution so we got those nice rounded corners. And now for the next step, we want to add a particle system to it, but we can't do so. There's no particle system we can add to a font in Blender, to a text object, so we need to convert it to a mesh. You can do this by hitting Alt-C and choose Mesh from Curve, MetaSurf Text. Yeah, and now you can add the particle system, but let's first have a look at the mesh structure, and wow, this is a whole mess. Of course, there are a lot of situations where a mesh like this wouldn't make any difference, so you could use it, but unfortunately not in our very special case. And also when you're doing physical simulations, you really often will need to recreate the text to retopologize it, or doing a retopo. And well, one example where this might also be the case is, let's add a subdivision surface modifier and let's see what happens. So yeah, it's a little hefty, it's a little much here, but now this is looking pretty weird, and actually we can't do any, yeah, there's very difficult to find any edge loops here to make things sharper. Here maybe? Let's see whether there are any other edge loops here. This is like playing lotto in the lottery. And yeah, just, it's a mess. We can't do anything with it. So let's switch back to our object mode, hit X and delete everything, and now Shift A, add mesh text. And let's start over. CG Tuts Plus is written small, no caps. And yeah, once again, let's add the font. Increase the size. And now we don't want all those faces in there, because they are what making the problems when we're gonna later on, when we're doing retopo, we actually will have to redo everything. So let's get rid of the faces first. And you might have the idea that this is easily achieved by removing the front and end caps here along fill, but it's not working unless you extrude. And if you extrude, there's gonna be some geometry right here. Here around, maybe you can see it. There's actually there's actually there's some faces here, and we don't want this. And if we extrude it backwards, here we're at 0 now, but the faces are still there. There, you can see it up there. So this is a false friend. And this simply won't work. So if we go to Alt-C, convert it to a mesh and go into edit mode now, we'll get a lot of problems when you're doing the retopo. Like say, let me just fill those faces in very quick, and you already see there's a lot of problems with the normals, and actually no way to fix this with this mesh, because if I hit Alt N, Shift N, Control N. We are in object mode. Control N will recalculate the normals, but no way with this mesh. So once again, back to object mode, delete, and let's do it a third time, and this time let's do it correctly. So once again, CG Taz Plus, and once again I'm gonna change the font, and what I'm also gonna do is change the size. And now we can do the fill front and back game once again. Here's C, because the funny thing is it's at 0 now, but it's still there, and if you're going to the left once again, then it's got refill, and that's a weird behavior, and don't get confused by this. That's just the way it is, and maybe things will change and in the future, but at the current you have to do this. This is a little weird, of course, but no problem for us. We can work around this. Another thing, before we go on, let's change the resolution down, because we want to work on the vertices, and if you see, while we are going down, it's it's becoming less and less rounded, and you can actually see all the edges now. And this is when where the subsurf later on will make things smooth things out again. And by decreasing this from the beginning, we have a much less work to do. So let's go down to 1 with this font. With other fonts, you might need to go up to 2, 3, or even 4. It really depends on the font. Every font has a different behavior. And now let's hit Alt-C and create a mesh Let's switch into edit mode and see how we can get rid of these faces. And actually that's very simple. Just go into face select mode, for example down here, and now hit A to select everything, and now hit X and delete faces. This won't work always, actually it won't work only the first time, so do it now and everything is cool. And now if we go into vertex select mode, we got all the vertices here, and we can start working on the retopology. So let's get going. Well, now before we start the happy modeling, there's one thing we should really do, and that is checking whether there are any double vertices. And we can easily do this by hitting A to select all the vertices, and then let's hit W, and there we got the option remove doubles. And we see here we have removed 0 vertices, which means the Blender works really well with this font. And there are other fonts, even every once in a while, where this might lead to 30 or so removed doubles, because and some Blender just can't handle a few, or just doesn't go well with a few certain types of fonts. And if you should always check to remove doubles, otherwise you might run into trouble when you later extrude and add the modifiers and stuff. So we have just been very lucky that this has worked out. And now let's go and start with the plus here, because this is actually the easiest part. The idea is to simply select vertices 4 at a time with Shift and right click, for example, and then hit F. Or another thing is, I've just hit A to deselect everything, hit C, and now we can circle delect everywhere, so all those 4 vertices, then right click and hit F to fill it again, and it really depends which kind of selection you think is better. I usually go for the normal selection mode, and now we got here our complete plus. It's got neat faces, all the normals are fine and everything, and if you extrude this or add modifiers, this will be very, very good. And the other cool thing is, now we can easily add with Ctrl R edge loops to control the size of the polys here, because those faces here, they will later be be subdivided, made very small, and be the shrapnel of the dissolved logo. And so it's a very good idea first to keep them all quads, and for the modifier to get easy subdivision, and second to have them all kind of the same size to have the later the explode modifier work easy and sleek. So let's check this later on, because we should start to add the edge loops once we know what the geometry of our other fonts here will be like. And yeah, let's start with the C. One thing to note is that we, in order to later on get good edge loops here and sharp edges, we shouldn't do a loop that's going completely through, but let's keep this here, this part at the top. Let's cut it off from this loop. So let's select those 2 vertices, hit W, choose subdivide, and now we can choose this here, hit G and Y and move it upwards. And if you choose those here, we got our first face, and if we go on and choose here some stuff, we get hero face, and we can add hero face and here, and in this case we will need to, so I'm sorry, let's hit Ctrl Z, go back, and you see we got here up there are 3 vertices, and we got down here only 2, so let's hit W, subdivide, choose grab, and move it a little, and this way we're actually gonna change the style of the font. So if you're into typography, I'm very sorry, but this just works well, so let's do it this way. And here we got the same thing once again, so hit W, subdivide, move it a little, and then we can very easily fill those faces. And you might already notice, sorry, once again, where this is going here, we're gonna create a cool edge loop, and I also think that we might want to create an edge loop here. Control R, and this time let's just move it up a little so we get a cleaner and rounder C. And let's see here, I guess this can easily be put into faces, and this here is also a fine face, and here we need once again to do some subdivision. I guess this was a little much. And here let's also subdivide it and move this a little bit. And well, actually we can go on later with everything. So, oops, very bad selection. Should have selected all 3. Well, let's do it once again with circle select and hit the face, and yeah, C is now working fine. And here's the other part of this thing, and we really should get a pretty sharp edge. And now let's get on with the other fonts. This here is actually a little bit difficult. Let's see how we can go here, because we got two possible loops, and this will probably lead to some difficult geometry here. Let's leave this one out for a moment and check out how we can work on the S here. Here it's on the very same thing. Subdivide, go up, and now we can work on everything else. Oh, here once again we need to, probably it might make sense to subdivide it here to fill everything in a correct and smooth manner. And yeah, this is just a lot of work. I guess many of you might think why I'm doing all this work, because it's it takes pretty actually quite some time, but well, that's the price you have to pay if you want to work with really cool geometry at the end, when you want really cool shrapnel in the end when it's dissolving you. Yeah, and you shouldn't talk too much because you start hitting the wrong keys, just as you have seen here. And yeah, see, you're actually learning quite a bit here about not talking while working on your model. I don't think I will ever learn this. Keep talking all the way along, just because otherwise it would be somewhat boring. And yeah, this is once again typical thing. Let's actually see. We need to subdivide this here, and probably this here too, because yeah, that will be quite difficult to work this out. So yeah, let's see, here, fill, here, fill, here, fill, and here, fill, and yeah, I guess we had this rather all wrong, but shouldn't have subdivided each time. It's G. Now let's hit A. No, G, X. There. No, maybe we can get away by doing it this way. Actually, this topology is really not the best, but it should work for our example. So let's just see. Yeah, this works and this works, and yeah. This looks like a bit weird. So let's go and add the there might be some problems here. Let's add the subdivision surface modifier, and yeah, we did. That was Control Z one too often. Let's see if we have can do any redo, because otherwise yeah, this is a little weird what happened right now, because okay, now we're back in the correct thing, and now let's see. Now let's see what's happening up here, down here. Yeah, this is really not so good. Let's see if we can correct this mess here. Fill the face. Yeah, I guess we actually should have done a few more undos. Yeah, a few more undos might have been quite fine. But let's see. How can we fix this? This won't help. Let's see, maybe in this here. Then let's always hitting the wrong. So, and now here, maybe another vertex, and now we could probably go here and here. And now if we add a subdivision surface modifier, yeah, it's already quite better, and now we can work on the rest of the stuff, also with the modifier enabled, and this will make things a lot easier for working actually. So let's just do the U also and see how, let's see how far we can get, because I don't want to bore you, but I just wanted to show you how the modifier work is going once you're doing once you're working with the modifier, how things are looking quite good and everything is quite fast. So W subdivide, G move it up, just the one in the middle. I guess we need subdivide once more here. This is might be a little weird, but let's see how things are looking once the modifier is applied. Well, I cut everything short because, yeah, it's actually just boring watching some guy selecting vertices and hitting F, and also the topology here isn't so good, so you shouldn't watch this because it's just not the best of the best. So let's go on and look at the current topology. And well, the idea is to have faces of about equal size, but with a little difference to get a little life later on when the subdivision and at the end the dissolve is happening. So we can do this by creating edge loops with Control R. And let's do one here and another one here. And don't move those, because when you move this, they will be placed not exactly in the center, and to get faces of about equal size, they should be at the center, so don't move them. And yeah, you can get more loop cuts by choosing mouse wheel up. So this is also a pretty cool trick for if you don't know. Just hit mouse wheel up and you get 2 or 3 or 4, and yeah, 2 should be enough here. In this case I guess it's better to have 3. Up there it's 2, down there and 2 might also be enough, and this way we're getting sort of sharp edges, but they are still a little smooth, and this will look pretty good at the end, I think. And here it's also quite easy, and here too, to get the sharpness we want. I guess down here we might need to add a few more, but let's see how things are looking. Here, do the U, or work on the U. Now here, yeah, also 2 of those here, and 1 down the bottom. And I guess I think let's look here. This is looking a little odd. So here we will, unfortunately, we will need another loop cut here. And yeah, now if we edit this, to keep the proportions, there's a neat little trick. Let's select the vertex down here, check the pivot point for the rotation or scaling to 3D cursor, and now the 3D cursor is over here. So if we scale now, it's scaling towards the 3D cursor, and it might work out if we set the cursor here to this point. So let's hit Shift S and snap the cursor to select it. And now if we select them all and hit S to scale, things keep in proportion, and now it's looking a little better. And oh, I think we also need another loop cut here. And I guess we will need to do the same thing here. So once again, Shift S, cursor to selected, and now here, scale it down a little. And yeah, it's a little better, I guess, over here. Let's maybe move this a little over here. And yeah, it's disproportionate in there, but I hope this won't matter later on when things are resolving. Here's the S. Let's choose 2 here, 3 here, and 2 up here. And if we want to or not, let's not add any more here, so we got a little bigger shrapnel. Well, now for the tree, I guess this is might be a pretty good way, having 2 here, 2 here, and 2 up here, so the tree will have a slightly sharper edge here, but anyways. Now a little trick to save you time with the T, and then we are already finished with the retopology of the retopo of the fonts. And this is we got the T here. If we hit Control L, we select all adjacent all vertices that are connected with this one somewhat. And now we can hit Shift and right click here and hit hit X and remove the vertices. Now this will be our snapping point for when we duplicate this here. Let's do the same here. Control L. Now we got them all selected. First let's add a loop cut here and one here and one on the bottom to make things a little sharper. And now here select one vertex, hit Control L. Now let's go up here with the mouse cursor, hit Shift D to duplicate it and move it somewhere here. And now we can hit turn on snapping, but snap to vertex. And if we hit G now, it's a little odd, so let's go here, hit G, and yeah, perfectly aligned. And now, very important, select all, hit W, and once again remove doubles, because this one vertex here, see, it's been removed. It was doubled, and if it go into object mode now, I mean into, if we start all this, if we would start to extrude and everything, then this one vertex would make a lot of trouble. And here in the U, at the U, I guess here, and here, if you have more vertices, and the things might be, yeah, I guess that's alright. That's enough. It's rounded somewhat, but not too much. And yeah, let's go on to the next state.